price is what moves the needle the most. Price is what matters the most. I don't care how slick your marketing is. I don't care how great your photographer was. I don't care how pretty the AI generated whatever is or was. All that matters is that you price it properly and then put it on the market in an appropriate manner. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat. Type a 1 in the chat if that makes sense, guys. Right? You could have the best property in the best area of town with the best features. But if it's overpriced, if you're asking $23 for that pretty little $20 bill, it's never going to sell. You guys with me? Type yes in the chat if you're with me. Okay? So all of this to say, guys, okay, that marketing information that you think moves the needle oftentimes does nothing. Okay, it's a bunch of BS. I don't care how many times you paste it on Facebook, post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, post it on TikTok, put it here, put it there, run up and down the street with flyers, jump up and down in the middle of the road. It's just not going to move the needle. Okay, Scott's with me. Scott says, hell to yeah. That's what we're talking about, guys. So let's get into it, okay? So what everybody thinks marketing is fancy flyers, professional photos taken by a professional photographer, drone footage, editing of all this stuff, you know, videos, social media, Facebook, Instagram. Guys, that stuff's a bunch of crap, okay? Does not move the needle. But what's cool is, guys, in just a second, I'm going to share with you what it actually looks like to have something that actually moves the needle. Is that okay with you guys? Type okay in the chat if you guys are with me, all right? If you'll allow me to show you what's actually going to move the needle. Okay, cool. So what you really need to know, folks, is very, very simple. What you really need to know is you just need to present the facts, okay? Now, I want everyone to be honest because I'm about to share something with you guys that I'm going to be very honest about. I'm not always 100% proud of, but it is what it is, okay? Guys, this thing destroyed my attention span. Folks, type iPhone in the chat if you feel like smartphones have made you not so smart sometimes, right? These things kill your attention span. Every single time you go to open it to do one thing, 18 other things pop open and you get, I got to just send that person a message. Oh, I got to answer this email. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on with the stock market? Oh, wait, what's going on with the news? Oh, what's going on with the economy? You guys ever there? Yeah, type a 1 in the chat if that's ever happening. You go to open your phone to do one simple thing, and the next thing you know, you're off doing a whole bunch of other things, right, guys? Okay, folks, you are not alone. Sellers are out there with the same exact attention span killers. Buyers are out there with the exact same thing. So where people used to have attention spans years and years ago, right? They just don't have the attention span. So my point is, in your marketing materials, you had better get to the point quick. Do you guys, anyone here, type a 2 in the chat. If you ever had a family member that tells these stories with all this superfluous detail, or a friend that does this, and they're just like, you just don't know what the point is of what they're telling you, and then you zone out, and then they give you the punchline, and I see, Sam, you're smiling, right? Like, yeah, we all have a friend like that. Hopefully you're not that friend, right? But we all have a friend like that, and just Scott says it too often, it's me. It happens, brother. But the point is, right, what winds up happening is if you don't get to the point, people zone out, okay? Do you want people to zone in or zone out to your information in your marketing packages? Type zone in or zone out, guys, okay? So what we need to do, guys, is we need to give just the facts, just what's pertinent, okay? But you do need to give just enough to answer about 95% of the questions that will come your way. Here's what I mean, folks, okay? I have a rule. It's the rule of 2. Who here wants to hear the rule of 2? Type a 2 in the chat if you want to hear the rule of 2. Very, very simple. I send out a blast. Okay, if I get the same question 2 times or more, I add whatever the answer is to that question into the marketing. Here's what I mean. If people are like, oh, great property, what's the zoning? And then a minute or 2 later or a day or 2 later, I get, great property, what's the zoning? Guess what, guys? I neglected to put the zoning in the marketing information, okay? What I want your marketing information to do for you is to do the heavy lifting, is to answer, think of it like this. Marketing is in your marketing flyer, okay? is going to be a way of you announcing the most important 95% facts about the property to the world. Okay. And you want to do it as efficiently and effective as possible. Because remember, guys, like we talked about, you got to work smarter, not harder. Email is a fantastic way of us advertising properties to people. With a click of a button, you could reach out to thousands of people. Okay. And if you got a 10 or 12% open rate, you're going to get your message in front of hundreds of people. With me? Okay. It's just numbers. All right, guys. So you don't need to have the 1, 3, 5 mile demographics, okay? Save it, all right? You don't need to have psychographics. You don't need to have the fact that people that wear Lululemon and drive Volvos and drink Starbucks and like soy lattes are the type of people that will probably invest in this property. Nobody cares, all right? Those are psychographics, guys, okay? Demographics are like age, sex, so on and so forth, right? Income, and so on and so forth. You just need the facts that are going to move the needle. You with me, guys? I see Howie says OM. Okay. All too often, Howie, great question. OMs or offering memorandums, right? Or memorandi, I think if you pluralize it. What you need to do, okay, is I don't even do OMs, right? The only time I'll do an OM if it's a property that has like some very, very specific important information that needs to be included, but probably 90% of the time, one page flyer is all you need. Guys, I'm about to show you, well, I don't know. Let me see if you guys are interested. Type template if you guys would like to see a template of a flyer that has helped me sell tens of millions of dollars worth of real estate. Okay, Scott wants to see it. Pietro wants to see it. Howie wants to see it. Okay, cool. I think I'm going to show you guys, all right? Because when you see it, you're going to be like, that's it? Guys, yes, okay? Remember, when you're, okay, the way a lot of these big companies, a lot of people think that because the big companies are doing it, that's what they need to do as well. So type of one in the chat if you've ever felt that way. Well, if you fill in the acronym that begins with a J, fill in the acronym that begins with a C, fill in the acronym that begins with an M, right? All the top 5, they know who they are, right? Okay. Just because some of those big dog companies like the Goliaths are doing it doesn't mean that's the thing that sells the property. But what it does mean is they got a marketing girl with a full-time job and he or she like wants to keep their job. And so what they're going to do is they're going to keep marketing and they're going to create these really voluminous packages. And the only people that read those packages front to back is them. All right, type a capital M in the chat if that makes sense to you guys, okay? They're not necessarily doing it because it's what moves the needle and gets the property sold. They're doing it because they're trying to justify their job. For those of you, Scott's with me, right? For those of you that have ever gone through a contract, right? And the attorney could have just been like, yep, cool, looks good. But instead, the attorney went through, marked up a bunch of stuff, threw in some commas, threw in some periods, threw in a couple clauses because he or she was trying to justify their $500 fee. Type 500 in the chat if you guys have ever been in that position, right? A lot of times in this business, people will do things to justify their getting paid, okay? And it's not the thing that's the best for the transaction. You guys all with me? Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Cool. Because what I want you to do is I want you to only send out information that's pertinent, and so that the recipient is they know, does this merit further steps or does it not? Period. End of story. Is it worth me coming out and taking a look or is it not? You guys with me on that? Okay. Type yes in the chat. Okay. So that's literally the whole thing. The whole kit and caboodle is, does this make sense? Is this something I'd be interested in? You don't want to write, like the Iliad, you don't want to write, an encyclopedia. You just need to give them enough so they know whether it's going to work for them. All right, guys? Okay, cool. So next step. All right. Enter the marketing template. Guys, it's so much more straightforward and so much simpler than it looks, right? The property data, you got to have bullet points, 4 or 5, maybe 6. Okay. You have to have a map so you can show where the main arteries are. Your contact information, do not. I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad years and years and years ago. Guys, write Rich Dad, Poor Dad in the chat, or just write Rich. in the chat if you guys have ever read that. It's a fantastic book, right? And Robert Kiyosaki darn near went broke because back in the 80s, he had one of those Velcro wallets that he was selling, right? It was his first business. He was going to get big. It was like the early 80s when that craze was big, right? But guess what happened, folks? He forgot to put his phone number and mailing address for people to buy. He spent all his like last dollar, right, on advertising these Velcro wallets. He forgot to put his name on there. Okay, so make sure you are putting your name, email, phone number, whatever it takes, a way for people to get a hold of you. Okay. Next up, pricing. You got to have the pricing. You got to, because guys, please, okay, if you are putting properties on the market and you're putting pricing available or upon request, jump off a short pier, please. That is the lowest level of brokerage I've ever seen in my entire life. Please, like, run in play hopscotch in traffic, please, because it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Or what you could do is you could never do that again after today. Say, I swear I won't do that again. Okay. And do it the right way. Put the pricing on the thing, please, guys. Out of principle, I will not call on a listing that says inquire for pricing. I won't do it because it's just sloppy brokerage and I don't want to reward bad behavior. Okay. Anyhow, I digress. And finally, you got to make sure the zoning's on there, guys. If it's something that that's like not occupied already, if it's owner user, or even if it's important to know what the zoning is in case someone wants to buy the thing and change the use, they at least know what the zoning is. All right, guys, you with me on that? So what we're going to do is I'm going to stop my share there and I'm going to change pages so that y'all can see what an actual template should look like. Okay. And guys, I'm sorry, but this is not pretty. This is not sexy. This is not cool. This is not, fancy or anything like that. But dang it, it's effective. It is really, really effective. Okay. So without further ado, this is my marketing template. All right, guys. This is something I developed and used for years and years and years because I was tired of these people sending these 30 and 40 page OMs with every detail about a property that nobody cares about. Okay. All you need to know is it for lease or is it for sale? What is the price? What are we talking about? This particular one is a 6-unit multifamily here in Little Havana. Okay. This was principals only because I had it off market, but ordinarily you could put the address would go here. Make sure you put the address so people know, but I didn't want people snaking me on this one because it was a hustle deal. Next up, guys, you want to put what the pricing is. What's the price per square foot? In this case, with multifamily, what's the price per door? Okay. You want to know how many units it is or how many square feet it is. In this case, when it's multifamily, it's more important to know the units. Maybe you want to even put the unit breakdown. Okay. You also want to know what are some important things about it. Like I mentioned, maybe it's zoning. Maybe it's current uses, maybe it's highest and best use. Maybe in this case, it was an opportunity for a value add, okay? You also want to put maybe something that's important, like Little Havana is a really, really hot submarket here in Miami. So it's important to put that, okay? Put your logo, get your branding out there, okay? Though branding is not nearly as important as you think it is, because if you change companies tomorrow, throw that out the window. The person they're doing business with, your brand is you, okay? Your brand, write that down, guys. Type in the chat. My brand is me. Okay. I want you guys to understand when you are branding yourself, if you got fired from your company tomorrow and there's a different logo on your business card, you are still your unique mechanism. You are still your unique selling proposition. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Type brand in the chat if that makes sense. So while branding is important, and if it's your company, great, but it's not nearly as important as most people think it is. Also, the company you work for isn't nearly as important as you think it is because people do business with the people that are standing in front of them, not the logo on their business card, right? Type facts if that makes sense to you guys, right? Because at the end of the day, people overpay to have a, whatever logo on their business card. When I say overpay, I mean they pay way too much in commission to the house, to the man, so to speak, right? And you guys just, it's not what moves the needle. What moves the needle is how well you conduct yourself when you're in front of somebody. Y'all with me? Okay, cool. So next up, I want you guys to understand, just have all your contact information at the bottom, name, phone number, and email address. Okay, folks, This is so simple, but so overlooked. Guys, I have sold tens of millions of dollars of real estate with this little dinky flyer that I created. And all you need is a picture, a little map so you can see where it is, and then get your company colors on there. Guys, this picture was taken off my iPhone. Most people don't understand. I'm a hobby photographer, right? So like I have like good cameras and all that other stuff. The camera that's in iPhones now is better than some of the pro cameras from like 5 or 10 years ago. It's insane how good just your regular old run-of-the-mill iPhone camera is compared to like professional photography stuff from 5 or 10 years ago. So like, do not worry about getting a professional photographer out there. Get it so people can see it. Take a picture that's visible. This is kind of an ugly property. So be it. Whatever. If the property's real ugly, if it's like in the hood, take an aerial and show how close it is to like main arteries and so forth. But like if it's real ugly, do an aerial so that they can't see exactly how ugly it is. But like people know sooner or later the cat's going to be out of the bag, but you don't want to have something that's like really hideous. But that's it, guys. It's very simple. Here's the thing. If there's something that you're dying to put out there, okay, fine. You can have a big picture and a couple of little pictures. Okay. These are a couple little variations. Okay. Or you can have like, if you want to do like a floor plan. Floor plan's important. Like if it's, let's say it's like a flex space and you want to show like it's pretty well built out, you want to put a floor plan, something that's going to move the needle, guys. I don't want you putting demographics, psychographics, or any other BS that's there, okay? And here, if you have something specific, if you have like multiple units and there's some sort of major changes or variations, but even that, like you just don't need all that much. Does that make sense, guys? Type yes in the chat if that makes a lot of sense. Because what I'm trying to show you guys is like, let's just do something that's going to give just the facts, like they used to say in Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am, right? That is what we want to understand. We want to know that people have all the information they need to yes or no. Does it pass the sniff test or does it not? Howie says, what if the client wants it unpriced because he knows the numbers don't show the value? Then that's not a listing you want, Howie. Yeah, if it's unpriced because like then it's a fool's errand, and I'd rather instead of having you spend time on an like trying to sell a property that you know is a turd, like go out there looking for better ones to sell. Because at the end of the day, we only have two things. Write this down, guys. We only have two things to sell: our time and our knowledge. Okay, and if you're wasting your time and your knowledge trying to push a property that's never going to sell, okay, then it's kind of a fool's errand. But great question. Great question. Sometimes you get that, right? But here's the thing. All right. Cameras on, everybody. Let's do a real quick. I want to do a real quick survey with regard to Howie's question. You guys are going to appreciate this. Okay. How many of you, cameras on, raise your hand if you have children, grandchildren, a puppy, a kitty, right? Anything small and dear and near and dear to your heart. Okay. Are any of them ugly? No. Because, okay, guess what? Your clients think that their building, right? Like I always tell people, it's what I call the ugly baby syndrome. Okay, sorry, is what it is. Nobody has an ugly baby. Everybody's baby is just a little cuter than their neighbor's baby. Everybody's puppy is a little bit more precious than their neighbor's puppy. You with me, guys? Okay. So the point I'm making at the end of the day, you're never going to convince that owner doesn't think their property is just a little cuter than their neighbors. Okay. All things being equal. My point is they'll be they will never admit out loud that their property isn't worth what they're asking for. They'll come up with some cockamamie way to try to justify it, but no one's going to be like, I'm terribly overpriced because this property is a turd. They'll never say that, you know, just like no one would say that they have an ugly child. You with me, guys? All right, cool. So, guys, what I want to get is your number one takeaway here. Okay, what is the one thing that you learned? What was the one new perspective that you learned from here tonight, guys? Scott says, my wife says all babies look like bubblegum. Yes, exactly. 100%. Sorry, no camera today. It's okay, Katya. You're good. You're good. All right. Cool. Yep. Keith's got a dog. Yep. So guys, what is your number one takeaway? I want to see some takeaways. I want to see like if this changed your perspective in any which way, because folks, we're so used to seeing all the big boys with these fancy marketing departments and these fancy graphics and fancy this and fancy that. And at the end of the day, it's not what moves the needle. It's not, I promise. Single page, high level, one page. Exactly, Sam. Yep. KISS. Yes. Keep it simple, silly. Simple flyers without demographics. Yes, price is what's most important. Yes, guys, don't go asking for $23 for a $20 bill or worse, and then thinking that like what's really going to move the needle is you got to put it blasted out with drone photography on Instagram. You with me, guys? Okay. Good, 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 good. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing all of you week after week. Show up, take something away, take one gold nugget and implement it this week. Okay. Sam, you and I talked the other day, right? 8 weeks in a row. I expect you to be here, right? Who else wants to commit to the next 8 weeks being here, being present, and then taking a gold nugget away? You know why? Because the next 2 months is going to pass either way. The most important thing for you to understand is if you're implementing something new every single week, you'll be that much further ahead 8 weeks from now than you would be today. All right, guys? So guys, thank you so much for being here. See you next week. Bye-bye.